Now, so much is going on in the society today. There's so much violence, money rituals, drug addiction, exam malpractice all over the place. And if you look deeply, you find out that this really comes from the family. The family is faced with so much challenges today. We have lost our values. And you know that the family is a microcosm of a society. Now, if anything goes wrong with the family, it will definitely affect the larger society. Now, that kind of tells us that there's need for us as parents to look inward and see how we can retrace our steps and begin to play our roles as parents and imbibe good parenting skills that will help our children to become better people in the society. Join me as we look at those things that could help us be better parents. Welcome back. This is Expression with Julie. Now, before the break, we talked about what is going on in society today. And the truth is, we as parents have a lot on our plates. We have so much we need to do to begin to correct the ills that is going on in society. And the truth is, it starts from us. We need to imbibe certain parenting skills that will help us to do our job as parents better. If we play our roles as parents and bring up our children well, the society will be a better place. Now, how can we be better parents? First, we need to start by being good role models to our children. We cannot ask our children to do something while we are doing something else. We must be able to show good example to our children. Most importantly, we need to learn to love our children. Show them we love them unconditionally. That way, your child will know that my mother, my father can do anything for me. Now, some parents may want to disagree with me here when I say show them you love them unconditionally. Some parents feel by telling your child you love them, you're actually spoiling them. But I would like to disagree with that. We only spoil our children when we try to replace that love that we're never available to give them with other things like material things. We feel guilty because sometimes we're never there for them. So the only way we feel we can make them happy is by buying them things that are actually not necessary. Sample, parents would want to buy all sorts of gadgets. You find a child of 10, 11 can handle one of the latest phones or gadgets around. Why is it necessary? Are you doing this because you love your child, or you know your child needs that phone? Or are you doing it just to make your child love you because you're never there for them? That's the question. So we as parents shouldn't just spoil our children by giving them material things. We shouldn't spoil them by being very lenient with them. We spoil our children by not setting standards for them. We are actually very lenient with our rules. And that's because we're not available for them. More so, we need to show our children we love them by being available for them, because that's the only way we can show them we love them. It's one thing for you to tell your child, I love you. It's another thing for you to be available for that child. When that child has a program in school and she wants or he wants you to be there, present to school while he performs or does whatever it is he wants you to come and see. But we are so busy running after money that we don't even have time for that child. You know what that does to the child? The child will feel you do not love him or her because you're never there for her or him. We need to be involved in our children's lives. Once we're involved, we know what is going on in their life. We can actually help them. We can check, before something goes wrong, we're able to we see the red flag on time, and then we check whatever it is that is going wrong with our child. But if we're never there, we only get to find out when it's too late. Yes, the fact that you love your child doesn't mean you shouldn't set rules. You need to establish set rules for the child. Not just setting these rules, we also need to explain these rules and the reason why we set them. Because children of these days will actually want to know why. So it's important when you're making these rules, you're patient enough to explain it to them. It's one thing to set rules, and if the child doesn't understand why these rules are being set, the child will definitely break these rules. But when you set rules, you explain why these rules are set. That way, your child will understand and definitely would want to abide by the rules. And when we make these rules, let's be consistent with them. It's one thing to set rules for a child, and then it's another thing to make sure you keep to these rules. Now, if your child in one way or the other wants to flout the rule, you insist. Now, if your child knows that mommy will set this rule and at the end of the day she will even forget, then believe me, if your child misbehaves later in life, it's your fault. Consistency is the only way we can actually discipline our children. Now, foster your child's independence. What do I mean by that? You have to do things that will encourage the child to be independent. We shouldn't always allow them, we always give rules. We should give them some kind of space that will foster their independence. When you foster your child's independence, it helps your child develop a sense of self-direction. Now, when we make rules and we set rules for our children are able to establish some form of self-control. One more thing we need to learn to do as parents, we need to avoid harsh discipline. Yes, it's okay to discipline your child, but when you're being too harsh about it, some of us parents, the only language we understand when our child does something wrong is to use harsh discipline. Sometimes we flog the child or beat the child. You find out that when you're always using violence to correct a child, the child will only end up sometimes becoming bullies in school. And the only language they understand when they want to settle a difference between themselves and a friend or a classmate, it's violence. You find out that child becomes a bully at the end of the day. So by beating a child does not necessarily, at that time, yes, you may have some kind of temporary check on that child. But the truth is, that child will eventually become hardened if we continue to use this harsh discipline, and we'll lose them completely by doing that. When you use harsh discipline, it not only toughens your child, but it gives your child that impression that my parents do not love me. I have had a child come to school with marks on her body. And I asked her, what happened to you? Of course, she didn't want to tell me it was her parents in the first place, but I found out that her parents actually formed the habit of disciplining her. Whenever she does something wrong, they discipline her by flogging her. Now that only made that child become more hardened, and she became a rebel in school. So when we do this as parents, we're not helping our children at all. We're not helping them, we only make them bullies. Truly, that child actually became a bully at the end of the day. But it took a lot to get that child to understand that her parents do not hate her. Rather, they want the best for her. So we have very funny ways of showing our children that we love them. So if you show your child, if you want to correct your child and the only language you understand is the cane, then I don't think you end up understanding and knowing that child. You probably may end up losing that child at the end of the day. Finally, let's treat our children with some kind of respect. They're humans. They have feelings like us too. So we need to respect them as individuals. And when we do that, they will feel that we see them as individuals, and they can even open up to us easily because we actually listen to what they have to tell us. By listening to them, you make them feel very important. Sometimes, even when they say something that you really don't agree with, it doesn't matter. Just be patient. Take whatever they have to tell you. And then at the end of the day, you help them to make the right decision in life. Remember, the way you relate with your child is a foundation for the way your child will relate with others in future. Let's help them by being better parents. If you found this video educative, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the like button and the bell button for notifications. And if you have questions, please go to the comment section. Thank you.